The distributive property. So the distributive property focuses on parentheses, and when we're multiplying a set of numbers that are in parentheses by a number that's out front. So that's really what our distributive property focuses on. I have a set of terms inside parentheses, and I need to multiply that by something that's out in the front. Notice that we don't generally put a symbol in between a number and the parentheses that we're multiplying by. We generally, in math, assume that if two things are together with no operation in the middle, it's multiplication. So how do we work with the distributive property? We're going to simplify inside the parentheses first, if we can. We're going to multiply each inside term of the parentheses by the term that's on the outside of the parentheses. And I highly recommend that if you have to deal with any subtracting, you change it to adding the opposite first. We talked about that when we dealt with integers. So let's look at a few examples. -5 times, in parentheses, x plus 10. So we're going to take the -5 and we're going to multiply it by everything inside the parentheses. So you'll start to see these little rainbow arrows. That when you see those rainbow arrows, you can almost start to think distributive immediately. Notice that the x doesn't have a number in front of it. If we don't see a number, 99% of the time you can put a 1 there. It's kind of the invisible one, it doesn't really show up. But if you're thinking, what number is here? I don't put a 1 in front. That works with our variables. It also works with our parentheses. If you're not sure what number goes in front of the parentheses, you can always put a 1 there. So we distribute this -5, we get -5x plus, and then -5 times 10 gives me -50. Let's take a look at one that's a little bit longer. I have 19 and then with a bracket. Brackets work the same as parentheses. 7 plus w plus -2. Notice the -2 and the 7 are alike, so I can combine them to 5. Now I'm going to do 19 times, and then the 5 plus w. Notice that w really has a 1 in front of it. I'm going to do 19 times 5, which is 95, plus 19 times 1w, which is 19w. Alright, here we have a set of parentheses with 3 terms in it. You can have as many terms in a set of parentheses as you want. We generally work with 2 or 3, but you can have a dozen if you wanted to. We have -12 times x plus y plus z. So again, we're going to distribute the -12. Remember, each of these variables has a 1 in front of it. So -12 times x is -12x, -12 times y is -12y, and -12 times z is -12z. Alright, let's do a few more and see if this is making sense. So I have 5, and then in parentheses, a plus 4. Don't forget that that a really has a 1 in front of it. So 5 times 1a is 5a, and 5 times 4 gives me 20. Let's work with some negatives. -2 times, and then parentheses, 2x plus 1. So this -2 is going to get distributed onto everything in the parentheses. So I have -2 times 2x is -4x. -2 times 1, -2. Next example, 3, and then in parentheses, 2x minus 6. I've got a negative inside here. I'm going to change that to adding the opposite. You don't have to, but if you're looking at a distributive example and you're kind of not sure how to deal with the negatives or the subtraction, change it to adding the opposite. Most of the time that'll clear up what you're confused about. 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times -6 is -18, and since we've got addition here, we're going to keep it addition. And our last example, -4 and then in parentheses 3y minus 4, I would highly recommend changing this one to addition. Especially when we've got more than one negative going on, it can get a little twisty and turny. You don't have to. If you're confident with it, leave it the way it is. Continue on. I'm psyched that you can do it. If you're stuck, change it to adding the opposite. So I have -4 times 3y, which is -12y. I'm going to keep this addition, and I have -4 times -4, which gives me +16.